Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 344. Today is Saturday, November 21st, 2020, and I'm glad you could join me today. There may be a little bit of noise because I have single pane windows and my neighbor is having a party in their backyard, so they're having a good time. Not that I'm not having a good time, but they're having more of a good time than me. I'm recording significantly earlier this week in order to have better light. It's sort of overcast today, so as you can tell by the vague grayness from the window. So we're gonna go with it and see how it works. Who knows what's gonna happen? So I have my, or would it be? I have my coffee. It's second coffee. This is not too crazy. It's very exciting because I am on vacation now, so it's just nice to know that that's going on. And then it does seem like I will also get the approval to take 2 weeks off at Christmas or around Christmas as well, so that should be good. So what I'm going to show first is the 10-stitch baby blanket that I'm working for my sister. So this is out of Vilmisa Twin in the Martha Guide to the Galaxy and Hoochie Mama colorways. I really do like how the corners are turning out in places. So what I find to be really interesting is actually that it is I don't know, I guess this would make sense that it may be like a little bit asymmetric. Sorry, a little bit congested today as well. So I guess it probably makes sense that there are points in the blanket where it gets to be symmetric and points in the blanket where it gets to be asymmetric. And maybe there is a small amount of asymmetry from the shape of the stitches itself or something like that. I don't know. But as a result, I have gone a little bit further. So when I talked to you guys last week about it, I was somewhere in here. I managed to, I don't know, or maybe I was somewhere in here. It was sort of the case where I really wanted to have a chance to rewind the balls because they were starting to get pretty empty looking. And so I had a chance to rewind my Guide to the Galaxy because it was disconnected from the blanket at the time. It's now connected back in, and this one, it seems pretty sizable right now. The Martha, on the other hand, I'm not sure how much more I can do with this. So I have 2 more sides to go for the most part with this guy, so this one held with this one for a few, and whatever. This is the cost of picking the stripe pattern that I ended up doing. I picked a striping pattern that hopefully minimized how many ends I needed to weave in. Excuse me, take a but there still are ends for whenever I'm changing colors, so it's more like I have 2 sides, or what would it be? I've taken away one of the ends that I need to weave in for, I don't know, or two extra ones that I would need to weave in if I had decided to do a 3-side pattern instead of a 5-side pattern. I'm not even sure if 5 would be the right way to describe that. But in short, I have 5 panels that look a lot like Martha, and then 4 panels that have more of this teal magenta thing going on, which is fine. For some reason, this color just ends up dominating. So it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see how much more I can manage to get out of this guy before we run low. And this is how much I have left of the Hoochie Mama. So we're definitely, or yeah, this is Hoochie Mama. This is Guide to Galaxy and Martha. So I was thinking that maybe I was at that 50% point in the blanket, but it may just be the case where I am going to get as far as I can get and not too much more than that. So when I measured, I was like 21.5 inches by 23. So it's roughly adding 2 inches every time I get a side on. So maybe it's not too crazy, but, or I'm adding 2 inches every time I get 2 sides on. That sounds about right. But this didn't end up receiving most of the love this week, but what is it? It's pretty straightforward knitting, so like I definitely need to be doing something while I'm doing it, but it's not too crazy. So maybe slightly challenging to know which needle to pull out. Because it's garter, it's not too hard to deal with that either. So what ended up getting most of my love this week was my Isbray sweater. So this is something that I'm doing for a variety of knit-alongs, and at least to me it seems like they're actually pretty good odds of finishing before the end of the year. So it'd be the case where this is a part of the Skater Garment Cal 2020 that ends on the 31st of December. It is part of the Blame Dunder Knit Along, because I have really wanted to cast on this sweater for quite some time. And that ends January 31st. And then what would it be? Going along with my quest to knit handspun as well. So what was interesting to me, and maybe this would, what would it be? This would be the case where this is like the subtle quibble that one ends up having with, what would it be? So because the pattern was spec'd in terms of skeins instead of yardage, I used 22 grams of my 55-gram ball of handspun. So this is hackle waste from my first hackle project, as you do. So it has, what is it? I took the hackle waste and carded them into whatever color sequence roll-logs, and then ended up spinning that as a single, and then I applied it with my white zephyr lace. And the fact that I applied it with the white zephyr lace meant that I could use it. So now I have a sort of random amount of handspun left over from that, but oh well, such is life. So this is the Isbray sweater. It is the Skein Knits pattern, and I have separated for the sleeves, which is exciting. There we go. I think that would be the proper way of holding it. So this is the front. So I had an awful lot of very enjoyable yoke knitting. I think last week I was knitting on the collar, so I actually have made quite a bit of progress on this bad boy. So had all of the fun of the yoke knitting, was able, I think, to do a pretty good job of implementing the ladder back to card, doing German short rows, all of that fun stuff. So, and hopefully the color ends up coming out fairly true here. So this ended up achieving the contrast that I really wanted. So some things can fade like a little bit on the background, but overall I think it ends up looking really, really nice. So I have this very dark blue with bits of gray in it, and then this jewel tone hand spun with the bits of white, and it's those bits of white that really made it work for this particular sweater. So my quibble is that just put the yardage down that's needed. Because I probably could have selected an even smaller ball of samples or something from my hand spun in order to make it. So I feel a little bit silly because it isn't like I'm going to be able to use every last drop of this. But I think I do still have it out, because what I would like to do is actually, this is something that I've done with a bunch of my other yoke sweaters, where I do the cast off in the contrasting color, because I think that looks really cool. And I have plenty of yarn, so it's not, I have plenty of yarn all around. So what I did was I actually cast on with my smallest ball from this, because I ended up having 2 breaks as I was winding it. And then I ended up using the second biggest ball, and then now I'm in the big daddy of this game. There was a knot, so I was a little surprised about that, but whatever. So this is Wollmeise in my old blue jeans, and this is my hand spun, that is mostly comprised of gnome spun, but has a little bit of fiber optic, cerulean violet rouge, which is from my most favoritist hat, as you do. So I'll probably keep it out and keep going and call it good, but I've now reached the, or would it be, it'd be the case where there isn't any shaping in this pattern, it's all very straightforward. So I'm just knitting a tube until I feel like it's long enough. I'm not sure, or would it be, I guess I can hold out on I can probably survive knitting the body for a while longer before I decide that I should put a sleeve in. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'll probably end up doing it on one of my 9-inch circs, because I'm knitting this on my 3mm US 2.5 needles. But it would probably be good to knit a little bit further, just to see how everything is coming together. This is the first time that I'm knitting a yoke with positive ease. So this is obviously the most positive ease sweater. Or would it be the most positive ease sweater that I own? This is my Not Wool V-neck boxy. So it'll be interesting to see how everything comes together here. The pattern recommends that you do 4 to 8 inches of positive ease. What I ended up selecting was closer to the 4 end. What would it be? So we'll see how everything comes together. Yeah, or would it be? It'd be the case where I am right now. Two of my sweaters was sort of the case where I'm like, oh crap, I put too much ease in this, and that probably has everything to do with what would it be? Size selection for that. So like it's not like it's the end of the world, but you're like, but what would it be? I would say though that looking at some of the other projects for the Isbray sweater, there is definitely someone who ended up doing something that was closer to a -0 ease, and part of the look of the sweater that is so nice is the fact that it is very airy and light and loose. So I'm just gonna go with it, but not all the way. But I did. Would it be? This isn't the sort of sweater that you put on when you want to be warm and cuddly. This is the type of sweater where you're like, I'm a knitter, and I do not feel like I'm a knitter if I am not wearing knitting. Not like it's too warm today, but like I throw on this sweater when I don't need to feel warm. When I do not need cuddliness to go. So it'll be really interesting to see how everything comes together. It was, I think also because this is knit at like a 6 stitches per inch sort of gauge, the numbers just seem so big. But whatever, it's such is life. So, and I suppose I can slip this on quickly. My neckband is perfectly, wonderfully, amazingly stretchy, so I'm really glad that I decided to do the Turkish cast on and then knit two together. So I have something that fits close to the neck, but is perfectly, amazingly stretchy. So that made me glad. You're like, crazy hair. Going with the high pony today. So that is the story of the Isbray so far. All of the exciting parts are over, but whatever. Now I have two projects where you like garter or stocking on the round. Done. And this isn't living in a bag yet right now. I just sort of stick the ball of yarn next to me on this chair and go to town. So, ooh, shouldn't be too crazy. I could try it on again. I did try it on last night and take a picture after I got the sleeves separated, but it's okay. It seemed like, or would be, it wasn't the case where like, oh dear, I've made a terrible mistake. The other thing, I don't know, it was really hard to verify because the Wollmeise lace garn is like a light fingering weight. It isn't a proper lace, but it is a multi-ply worsted spun sort of yarn. And then my hand spun is much loftier because of the rologs. I think it's probably closer to a true fingering. So there definitely are a couple places where the ladder back jacquard is maybe a little bit more obvious because my main color isn't doing a good job of hiding it. But like I can't tell if maybe my gauge loosened up a little bit while I was in the yoke. Because there's just like a little bit of waffliness there, but it's not too crazy. But the places where I did the knit two together just have like that, just a little subtle bit of that white peeking through. So, like right there. So I did a better job of obscuring where the ladder back jacquard started on the top, but I guess I didn't properly try out hiding the ladder back jacquard on the way out, because what you end up doing is just knit two together, and so then your purl or whatever, your purl guy ends up being just a little bit wider in the V than or would it be just a little bit wider in the V. I could do this, yeah. So it looks maybe a little bit like these guys, so my bigger V in the back is sort of what it looks like on the right side. But who knows, blocking can do an awful lot. But, or what was it? It was the case where, I don't know, most of the short rows are actually after you finish the yoke, which was also interesting to me. It seemed like it would be easier to sneak them in higher up, but maybe that would also disturb the, maybe that would end up disturbing the yoke increases as well. Not sure. But fairly happy with the pattern. I'm excited that I got to learn a couple of new things with it. I thought that was really cool. I even learned a new thing that I didn't even need for the project in the attempt to make it work better. So yeah, no, I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not sure, I don't know, we'll figure out where everything ends up falling. Because, I don't know, it's just, for some reason I'm feeling very confident that I will be done well in time with this sweater, which I guess isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm just thinking a little bit about what the next project's going to end up being. There's probably something to be said about doing something where I have a project for me on the needles and a project for someone else on the needles, at least in this time. Not that I'm a Christmas gift knitter, more so just that it seems like there's a pretty good sized queue of stuff that I would like to be able to do. So there's that. Or would it be? So I don't know if that would be the case where when I finish the baby blanket, I move on to doing some toy knitting like that. And then when I finish the Isbray, start another sweater knit. Would it be? I could definitely see it going multiple ways with that. Or if I end up starting the Viajante for my cousin, not sure. I might need to go beach shopping for that. She was definitely in love with the pearly beads, so like, or if it is a case where I continue on my handspun rampage. We shall see. So the we will show this picture, or we will show this project in better light because there is an opportunity for it, but here is my Bat of Three Waters Farm Fen in the background blue colorway with sort of that gorgeous stratification that you end up getting with my preferred way of feeding the drum carder. I haven't worked on the project this week, but the light was so bad last week. And the light is so beautiful today that I probably should take this as a lesson of midday recording on Saturday is a much better choice than right before dinner time in this season. What it be? We have, or whatever, so what, today's the 21st, so we have another month of degrading light, so I should just go with the best light we can. What was it? My husband still has custody of my studio lights, so we're just gonna let him keep on keeping on with that one. You shouldn't be too crazy, but yeah. No, actually, if we could do this. It's amazing. Such good light. I'm hoping it's going to be that makes me really happy, but you can see how this totally goes with this, and that this is definitely the average of that. I think it's going to make some really beautiful, beautiful yarn. So there's that. I know. Today, knowing that I'm weeks away from finishing. I know I might not be weeks away from finishing the blanket, but that's not the game I'm playing right now. Like just letting the spinning project be low and slow, because I don't feel like I have room in my life for immediately casting on another handspun sweater. So I'm feeling the call of my commercial sweater yarn right now. Like last year was a year of sweater gluttony. Well, not sweater gluttony, sweater quantity gluttony. And so I think that's why I feel those particular feels. So like this work was like all of my dark blue sweater quantities and all of my teal sweater quantities. Roughly, yeah. There's a little bit of teal in the dark blue one, but it's obscured a little bit right now. So, I can understand what, or would it be, wanting to tackle a little bit, and I can just go on this hilarious like stash down sort of challenge, because I can't buy more dark blue sweater yarn until I've used some of the dark blue sweater yarn that I've already got. And yeah, and then there's even the sweater quantity that isn't fitting with the other sweater quantities. So I think maybe that's why I'm feeling the stress, though the one that I'm knitting right now wasn't even in those two cubbies, so whatever. Yeah, so there is that. Would it be? It'd be the case where making sure that it isn't, or would it be, like, it's not like I'm putting pressure on myself to continuously be productive in order to use the things that I have purchased. It's more like making room for other interesting things. Who knows? Yeah, no, because the hand-spun sweater quantity isn't gonna fit in that area either. Yeah, no, it's more, I think it's more so as my attention and sort of creative focus has been on hand spinning sweater quantities, being cognizant of the fact that I still have the commercial yarn I ended up getting anyways, so there's that. Yeah, we'll figure something out. So, but I'm not really in a shawl mood. I don't know. It's good to know, I guess. Maybe the case where I need to search around a little bit and figure out if there's a good shawl display method that I can do. That's actually that actually seems sort of interesting to me. So maybe that'll be a project in my week off, is figuring out if there is a good way or a fun way in order to display them in my room. But we'll figure it out. But you know, it looks like it's gonna be a short one this week. Whatever. And then next week, I'm not sure that it'll be any longer. What was it? Like, it's been sort of hilarious. My husband's been like, there are 9 days where I can sleep in. 9 days of doing exactly what I want. So, I'm getting the impression that we probably should have tried taking a vacation earlier than now, but now we're just going crazy. What was it? I think he was also maybe a little bit cross because it was like, I can sleep in as much as I want, and I woke up at 9:30, which is within an hour to half an hour of what he would normally wake up at. I persevered and kept sleeping in, but oh no. So I'm not sure that I will, like, I'll be able to show distant knit and all of that bit, but probably not too much interest. I don't know, who knows. Maybe I'll actually do the tie-dyeing project I've wanted to do. I think I'm planning too many things for these 9 days of nothing. Oh, that was the other thing. I did end up, or I am getting a turkey. I may not actually do the turkey on Thursday because it may not be thawed in time in order to put it in the oven. And that will likely be a day in which I need to, that will likely end up being a day where I need to start early. So it may be the case where I'm doing a Thanksgiving feast pregame on the Thursday, and then having a proper Thanksgiving feast on Friday. I may not have planned my other food intelligently based upon that plan, but whatever. We'll make it work. But what would it be? It'd be the case where I'm gonna do my mom's side stuffing, the turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, and then we're gonna figure out some way of doing the candied pecan topping on butternut squash, green beans with almonds, and then baby bok choy with mushrooms. So that's or would it be? This is more of like a Chinese dish that I find to be super pleasant. Really clever recipe. I was a little confused why they were asking me to do certain steps until I realized that it was sort of magical how everything ended up coming together. And then the other thing will be apple pie. My husband did make a request for pumpkin pie, but I don't eat pumpkin pie. Like, so would it be? He can find pumpkin pie out in the wild. He's very excited because some of his time off will be spent going to the grocery store I refuse to go to, because they have his favoritist brands of ice cream, and he can probably find a bit of pumpkin pie there. We'll see. Like, I removed bones from the bone broth mess that I'm making. Like, like that, like after that I draw the line. So should be entertaining. Hopefully it's not too crazy pants. And whatever leftovers we can't manage to eat will end up going in the freezer as the gift of past Molly to future Molly, as you do. So I will probably have a recap of what went down next week. Oh, and cranberry sauce and cranberry salsa. Cranberry salsa is all for me. So should be good. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to joining you guys next week. So take care, guys. Bye bye.